Hello ladies and gents, welcome to the video and channel. Frankie here. Today we are reviewing Ozark Season 1. I'm a little bit late to the party on the Ozark train, but I thought why not, especially because I want to be a filmmaker myself, why not start reviewing TV shows and movies, and this way hopefully gaining more of an understanding of how they're sort of made. So without further ado, we're going to talk about Season 1 of Ozark, and we're going to go over a few categories essentially. So we're going to go over story, we're going to go over the characters, we're going to go over the cinematography, the actual sound design, and also entertainment value. Did it entertain me? And we're going to score each one of them, and then I'm going to give you an average score out of 10 at the end to give an overall score of the series. So we start our story off with a man called Marty Bird. He's a financial advisor and works as part of the cartel. Early on in the episode, he finds himself getting into a bad situation with the cartel, and therefore is asked to go and launder and clean $8 million's worth of the cartel's money. The money's actually already cleaned, but they want to see if Marty is able to do it and essentially prove to them that he is capable of such things. Story overall is a decent one, fairly simple in plot, just trying to get this 8 million and cleaning it up. That is pretty much the premise of the whole show, with sort of mini series or mini plots in between that. A strong few episodes to start the series off, and then a strong few episodes to finish the series off, and especially the opening episode, it really hits you with a bang. So it shows you the ramifications of getting on the bad side of the cartel, and essentially what is in store for Marty if he fucks up. Great way of upping the intensity early on and making the stakes high, because now we know what the cartel is capable of. We feel a little bit for Marty, so whenever anything happens in the later episodes, we're like, ooh, you're getting yourself in a bad situation there, Marty. Hence, that was all built up from the first episode, which done a really good job of that. So by episode 1, Marty's in a bad situation overall. The opening 30 minutes to the episode is some very good TV. Strong start with the first episode, then 2 and 3, and obviously all the way up till the end. It gets a little bit slower until the last 3 episodes, pretty much. So yeah, it definitely slows down in pace. A lot of the plot points are, less intense. They don't have that massive impact like the first episode does. And it really takes that last 3 episodes to up the ante again. Something I did find hard is that throughout the series, obviously Marty's trying to get his 8 million cleaned. At no time do we really know how much he's got left to do. He brushes past it a lot of the time. So like just within a conversation with someone, he'll say, done this sort of amount of money, and we never really get to, it's just something about we never really get to see exactly where the money's going, blah blah. We kind of just get hit within a conversation, oh, this is how much money there is left, which I suppose there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a little bit hard to keep track of how well Marty's doing, because one minute in the episode he's spending a lot of money to get himself out of a bad situation, the next minute he's now on track again, and it's just a little bit like, oh, how? So the ending was good, a few surprising moments to the series that you didn't see coming, which was good. The flashback episode I actually really enjoyed. I read some reviews on IMDb, and they weren't a fan of it, whereas I really was. I quite liked it. It was nice to slow it down a little bit more and sort of see the perspective of before everything went to shit. So I think that was handled well, and then obviously the last 2 episodes up the ante even more, because we're starting to come to the climax of the series, therefore the intensity starts to rise. I've seen a lot of people compare this to Breaking Bad. I personally don't see the resemblance, other than that there's drugs involved and like obviously cartels and so on, and drug bosses. That's pretty much as far as it goes as the comparison is. I mean, for example, Walter White's a bloody teacher who's got cancer, whereas Marty's a financial advisor. It's completely different. So yeah, I don't think you can look at Breaking Bad and say, oh, if I didn't like that, I'm not gonna like this, or if I really like that. Sort of, they are separate entities in their own right. So if we're rating the main story and then the sub stories with it, so the whole story on the whole, I'm going to probably give it a 7 out of 10. Not fantastic story by no means, really simple premise, well executed, a little bit boring in the middle, but a 7 out of 10 overall on that one. Let's go into characters. So we're going to be talking about Marty Bird.
To be honest, this Dale Carnegie, Pablo Escobar ruse, I think that's beneath you.
Actor is Jason Bateman. I thought he did a really, really good job. You know, his character is quite sort of low, quite depressed, quite moody. But to be fair, in the grand scheme of things, I probably would be as well if I was ordered to be a goon to the drug cartel. You know, I mean, that's probably not a great situation to be in. As far as his other performances, like, you know, being a comedian, not really a comedian, but being in comedy TV shows, comedy movies, this is very different. It's a bit weird to see Jason Bateman in it. And he actually directed a few of the episodes, which were the standout episodes, so he's obviously a good director as well. So Jason Bateman actually smashes it in this role, especially. Wendy Bird, actress Laura Linney, I think she was actually one of the star players. Her character has more of a evolution. You know, from episode 1, we're a bit like not really sold on her because she's a bit of an asshole. By the end of the series, we like her a little bit more. You know, she's got more of a depth to her than Marty does, to be honest. She does a little bit more. She's got a little bit more about her. I thought her performance overall was awesome. And especially her and Marty on screen together, a good dynamic between them, because, you know, you don't know if they love each other, you don't know if they hate each other. It's a good situation. She's a great actor, and I give props. Probably one of the better characters in the show. Then we go on to Charlotte and Jonah. Now the kids, bit of a weird one. Depends how much you like kids, really. I mean, I found them annoying, you know, whinging a lot. If I was Marty and if I was the dad, I'd tell you to shut the fuck up. This is a bad situation we're in. If you keep moaning, you're going to get yourself killed. So zip it, Shrimpy. Especially the bloody girl. The lad's not too bad. He's just more quiet. But also just running around with guns a lot of the time. Like, where'd you get that, mate? But yeah, I didn't go much on the kids that much. I also found the girl character weird. You know, they portrayed her as a 15-year-old in the show. She's obviously older than that. But portraying her as a 15-year-old. And they then put her in some sort of weird sex scene. It's like nothing graphic, but it's, you know, it's enough to know that there's sex going on, and especially for that to be a 15-year-old, it's a bit like, what are you doing? You know, I mean, I don't want to watch no 15-year-old doing it. So that was a bit weird. And yeah, I mean, as far as them two go, they kind of have to be there because they're pivotal to Marty and Wendy, but I mean, I'd rather not see them as much. Now let's go on to arguably the best character is Dell.
Hey, no. Where are they? Are your kids in school? Summer break?
Actor is, let's have a quick read, S.A. Morales. I don't know if that's correct. So without a doubt, probably the best character. His on-screen presence is bloody intimidating as hell. You know that something's probably going to go down whenever he's on screen, so you're immediately up on your seat a little bit, like, oh, what's he going to do? Is he angry? So he's very subtle. You know, he's it's that thing, is intimidating. That is probably the best word for it. I think he was massively underutilized in this show. They didn't really have him in there a lot. For someone that was stealing the scenes that he was in, he was massively underutilized. He's probably only in 3 episodes, which he could have only been in for 10-20 minutes at a time. The first episode, awesome. He shows sort of who he really is, obviously, and you're like, damn, don't fuck with this guy. Obviously, in the Kingpin ladder, he's just a goon below the main bosses, but still, you're a bit like, damn, this guy's hardcore. So I actually really enjoyed it when he was on screen. Pity he wasn't on screen enough because he stole the show. And yeah, so that was my only gripe with that. He needs to be on the screen more. But hey ho, Jacob on Darlene.
You know you work for someone dangerous, and perhaps we can't touch you.
Sort of the country folk, like a mini boss or mini villains. I thought they'd done alright, to be honest. You got sort of Jacob, who is the calmer out of the two, real gruff, sort of rough, you know, country man. Takes no shit, takes no prisoners as well. Again, quite a good on-screen presence. You don't really know what he's going to do. And if you don't know who's going to do something, Darlene is freaking mental. I didn't know if I was like looking at that Resident Evil character in that first game, or bloody, what is it, Caitlyn Jenner by the looks of her. But you know, she done a good job. She was a live wire. Them two on screen together, really good. You know, again, I like it anytime you can have villains or sort of grey characters who can sort of show you that, you know, you better be watching when they're on screen, otherwise you might miss something. So good characters there. Roy Petty, so the FBI guy, the gay one, did not like him. Not because he's gay, just because he was very boring. Anytime he was on screen, I immediately wanted to pick my phone up and play on it because I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy his sort of, especially with the Langmore brother or the cousin, whatever he was. They sort of have a relationship, and it's just like it came out of nowhere a little bit. I mean, the relationship works. It's just what I don't think works is how they rushed it. You know, all of a sudden it felt like they were nearly boyfriend and boyfriend, which was a bit like, well, that feels rushed, and they kind of needed that to happen to get the plot devices going, so it felt a little bit forced, and I didn't really like the character. You know, I think he was acted well by the guy. I don't know who it is, but I just didn't really care for it. Wish there was less of him, more Del. You know, take that one down, bring in some Del, bit more Del boy, and you know you would have had a little bit of a better show. But I did not like Roy. So obviously I missed out some other characters who probably were on screen a little bit, but I didn't think I needed to talk about. But overall, the cast, I'm actually going to give the cast a 5 out of 10, which is average. You know, it is an average score. I think obviously the star performers were your sort of Jason Bateman, Laura Linney, and then the Essia, whatever his name is, guy, so Del. I thought them three smashed it. Other characters, obviously they got the two, well, you know, I am going to give it a 5 because there was quite a lot of characters who were weak, that I wasn't keen on, that brought the story down to a level that wasn't really feeling it so much. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 for the characters. So let's talk cinematography, sort of like color and you know, shot design. One thing I really liked is it feels high budget. You know, the actually location itself, the Ozarks. I don't really know where that is because I'm not from America or anything. I don't even know if it's a real place. But you know, it looks beautiful, especially on screen. Some of the shots they managed to capture of sort of the cliffs and the mountains and stuff, really good. I love the color personally, sort of this dark blue, sort of like a little bit in the background there, a little bit less light. Really good colors. It sort of shows you that sort of depressing, moody sort of nature to the show, which makes sense in the context of what's happening. The color really resonates. I really enjoyed in the flashback episode, obviously because it goes from they've been hired from the cartel, which is obviously giving you that blue feeling. And then in the flashback, it goes to like a color, a bit more color, a bit more vibrant to show warmth. And this is more comfortable. This was when they were not in the ship. And what happens is at the end of the flashback, I'll see if I can clip it. At the end of the flashback episode, something happens where Marty realizes, oh my god, he accepts the cartel to go work for them, and he regrets it. So he goes into his house, and it goes from like this warm color and slowly fades into this dark blue, which is really cool. Shows you essentially that, oh no, his life is switching, and he goes from warmth to, oh shit. One scene that caught my eye was the church guy, and I didn't put him in the characters bit, but I did not like the church guy. He was annoying. But anyway, he was talking to the farmers, is it Jacob and Darlene, and they're essentially putting him in a position where he has to pick a lesser of the two evil. And what the camera does is it goes through like the window, which is a gated window sort of thing, like a fenced off window. And it makes you look like he's imprisoned, which is cool because, you know, it's showing you whilst he's talking, he's metaphorically imprisoned because he doesn't really have a choice. At the end of the day, if he doesn't do what he's told, he's probably going to die, his family's going to die, or he has to do something he doesn't believe in. So he's been backed into a corner and imprisoned in this decision, which is awesome. I love the opening shot, episode 1, where the bloke fell from the roof. That's not a spoiler because you don't know who I'm talking about, but someone falls from the roof. Did not see it coming, which was surprising. That is good. That's a good way to do your camera shots, you know, sort of setting it up, setting up someone walking, and then just out of nowhere someone dropping down. You know, you don't expect it, and it was a good shot. I mean, they could have gone from up to and down, but then you take away the mystery of, oh shit, you know. So great shot selection there. Overall, for the cinematography, color and so on, and the design, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Another strong point was the soundtrack. Soundtrack was awesome. In the intense moments, it plays like a lot of this violin type stuff with these low bass and like low drums. Violin really stands out because it's such a sharp noise, and especially in one scene in the early episode, you know, it goes from like the violin like being quite low to gradually up in the tempo to show obviously the intensity rising. Gonna give the music an 8 out of 10 for that. Entertainment value. Did I enjoy the show on the whole? And, you know, taking everything out of it just by sitting there watching it, how did I think it went? And I thought it was a good show. I did think it was a good show. You know, I've seen a lot of TV shows and it's definitely up there. It's like, it's not on my top of my list by no means, but definitely good enough to be up and around the conversation. Good, decent show. High budget, really enjoyed it. Few moments where I found it a bit boring and a bit of a ball ache to sit through. Just mainly when the FBI guy was on, and he was on a fair bit. But again, I try not to let that take away because it kind of was important that he was on. I just wasn't a fan of his character. I would definitely advise watching this if you're a big fan of dramas and like a slow sort of story and a slow build up. You know, a bit of dramatic intensity as well. If you're a fan of all of that, you're going to enjoy this. Great start episode, fucking brilliant starting episode. Slows down in the middle, picks up at the end. And if you can sort of go with that and you enjoy that, you're going to love this. And I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 for entertainment value. Which overall, for Ozark Season 1, averaged all of those out. We get a 7.1 out of 10, which I think is quite fair. You know, again, at the end of the day, you can take as whatever those categories mean to you, and then you can use that as far as, you know, is what you think about the show. Again, it's my opinion. It doesn't mean what I've said is going to resonate with you. You might hate the show. You might absolutely love the show. I think we'll call it there as far as the review goes. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button, hit the share, subscribe to my channel. I'm probably going to do Season 2 relatively soon. My next one's probably going to be Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Season 14. And yeah, if you love all reviews and everything reviews, stick around and subscribe. Peace out. Have a good one. See you soon.